Tesla Model 3 may have even longer range in the next few months. I mean, you can drive all the way to China on that range, but mainly because that's where it's going to be made. That's right. The possibility of having a Tesla Model 3 with the longer range seems to only be available in China because of their new battery partner. As you know, Tesla decided to end their monogamous relationship with their longtime battery supplier Panasonic. They will still provide the batteries for the US and pretty much the entire world, but for China, Tesla decided to have an overseas mistress, and so far it looks like they've decided to go with a South Korean company, LG Chem, and because of the type of the cell that LG Chem, I guess, talked Tesla into, you know, according to reports, it not only will be cheaper to produce, but also you may just pump up the range, and we don't know by how much, but let me tell you about it. But also let me tell you what Volkswagen is doing after having not such a good experience with LG Chem. All of this is coming up next. Welcome to E4Electric, your #1 source of unbiased electric car news. If this is your first time here, go ahead and click on that subscribe button down there so you don't miss anything moving forward. All right, so there have been reports already, I think back in August, I think, that LG Chem is going to be one of the partners for Tesla in Shanghai. Now, the LG Chem itself, the factory that they're now putting more money into, is located in Nanjing, about 200 miles away, which is a relatively short distance. Now, I did drive that distance when I was there. It's not that short. It's about 3 hours because the speeds there are not as actually, no, it was even more than 3 hours. It was a while. I took a long nap. No, I wasn't driving. Somebody was driving us, the media people. So, but it is shorter than the distance between the Gigafactory here in the United States to the factory in Fremont. Anyway, it's a short distance, is what I'm trying to say. Now, what LG Chem, and this is according to one of the Chinese media reports, is LG Chem convinced Tesla to put a different type of battery in the Model 3, and this one is called NCM811 type of batteries. Now, the good thing about these batteries is that the percentage of nickel in it is about 80%, and a percentage of cobalt, which is very expensive, right? And some companies having a tough time mining it, is only 10%. So it is cheaper to produce. It's also lighter, so the density could be higher, or the battery is just going to be lighter. And of course, it makes it cheaper per kilowatt hour. Now, Tesla Model 3 is already going to be much cheaper to produce in China. Sandy Munro even said it a while back when he was guest on my show, and it does make sense. But what it's also probably going to accomplish is that it will probably end up producing the Model 3 with the longest range out there. And you know, right now it's already beyond 300 miles, which a lot of people can argue that's like, this is more than most people really need. But, you know, any competitive advantage, obviously, Tesla can have, especially in China, they will take. Now, they're not saying that yet. I'm just saying that because of the tech that they're going to be using, it's possible. Now, they can also choose to just have less cells put into the car and still have the same range. I'm not really sure if it might be worth it for them because you know, the software, the way the software is designed, the way the hardware is designed, they might have to retool a lot of stuff and redesign some of the software. They might just have a longer range and maybe charge a little bit more for that. I'm thinking 350 miles at this point, or maybe they can push it all the way to maybe under 400 even. But what I'm saying is, it is definitely a possibility, and you know, this is the first time an electric car sedan, excuse me, would be using this type of batteries. I believe right now that some of the buses are being used, are using this type of thing. Now, what about the Panasonic, right? Now, we knew there was trouble with Panasonic from before. You know, just simply because, you know, Panasonic started to lose money once the Model 3 production wasn't ramped up as fast as everybody thought and wanted and believed Elon. But, you know, Panasonic already dropped some major coin into it. So, you know, they ended up losing money. I think Elon accused them of not expanding the production to the levels that they expected. It was back and forth. So, you know, that relationship is definitely, you know, having some hard times right now. And originally, Tesla was going to make their own batteries, from what I understand, in China. But to speed things up, they've decided to partner up. Now, we don't know if LG Chem is going to be the only provider for now. I understand they've been in talks with CATL, and even Panasonic might still be one of the providers. But this is the first for Tesla. Now, they do have some tech, and there are all indications that they're going to be making their own battery. We know the acquisition of Maxwell is going to speed it up, but there is another technology that's kind of surfacing up. There have been some reports where the new type of batteries that Tesla just patented, that can go up to 1,000,000 miles with a very little degradation. I'll tell you just a little bit about it. Before that, a quick reminder that this video and this channel is sponsored by Byton. Check out their all-electric SUV called Ambite, coming to the US and Europe in about a year and a half or so, depending where you're at in queue. So over 50,000 of people made reservations. It costs $0 to reserve yours, about 60 seconds of your time. So go to the description of this video and reserve your Byton today. All right, so let's talk about this new tech that Tesla just patented, and this one is pretty promising. This comes from researchers that Tesla has an exclusive contract with, and they're basically saying they've developed technology that will allow these cells go 1,000,000 miles for each car, and the capacity loss of the battery would be less than 10%, which is pretty good because my capacity loss just for making this video is about 20. So good tech. But in all seriousness, it is definitely breakthrough. It's continuously pushing Tesla to be in front of their competition. As you know, there's so many other companies that have been having supply issues like Hyundai and Kia, and just overall did not have as good of a battery technology. Though some people argue that Audi and Mercedes, they've actually jeopardized the longevity of the battery that Tesla is struggling with for the mileage. Now, as you remember, Audi already had an issue with LG Chem a couple of times. They had to delay their e-tron production because not only LG Chem realized that Volkswagen Group brands were going to create their own factory and make their own batteries. They decided to raise the price by about 10%, and then they had some issues with their production. So Volkswagen Group and Volkswagen in particular and Audi have already had a brush with LG Chem that wasn't as pleasant. Hopefully Tesla won't be experiencing that, but who knows. Again, in the news this week that Volkswagen is now, and this is their kind of a interesting cheesy film, they are actually announced their pilot line of battery cell production in Europe, where they will be developing their own cells. And there's a big advantage to that. Obviously, they can have their own technology. It's a competitive advantage if they can do it better than LG Chem and other battery suppliers. But also, it's easier to write software and kind of work from both sides of the fence there to, and of course, there's a cooling system to increase the range, increase the charge rate, and so many other things that we consumers really care about, right? We don't care what the all this chemistry is, and we care about cost and how many miles we can go on one charge and how fast it can charge. So that will all translate into better numbers for Volkswagen, and that's what they're doing. Obviously, their partners, including LG Chem, are not very happy about it. So, but at the same time, it will probably be pushing the third-party suppliers to try to compete with the same companies that they're selling their technology to. So that is, I would say, a good news. All right, so let me know what you guys think. And as far as having the Model 3 in the US with the hopefully same technology, I'd say don't hold your breath just yet. I think Panasonic is kind of not going to make any more sudden moves. I think they're going to go with what they already got going on. And I'm assuming Tesla will just kind of test this new tech of this NCM 811 batteries, and it might be a year or two for sure, but I wouldn't hold my breath. But once again, China's getting all the toys. They're getting probably a cheaper version of the car and the longer range. I understand it could be frustrating, but nevertheless. All right, a quick shout out to one of my newer Patreons, Gavin. Thank you so much for joining my Patreon community. As you know, I'm a full-time YouTuber, so this is important. You're really literally putting bread on my table. And thank you to all of my Patreons for supporting me for a long time now. If you want to become a part of the Patreon community, go to patreon.com/E4Electric. And you can watch all of these videos live if you, and of course the comments, I answer every single comment, which is pretty tough now on YouTube. Of course, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter, our VIP list, that we send out bonus articles every Saturday, something that we just cool stories we just can't fit into our daily agenda here on the YouTube channel or e4electric.com website. So there's a link in the description of this video for that as well. All right, looking forward to your comments. Other than that, see you next time, and remember to stay charged.